Oh, what in the hell is that? Look, ignore that. It'll look better later, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good afternoon, Ash.
Good afternoon.
So I just wanted to start today with going through some of the confidentiality practices of this practice.
Sure.
Yeah, so the first thing is I want to let you know that anything you disclose to me, anything you want to talk about, will be confidential, so it won't leave this room.
Okay.
There are a few exceptions, and those are generally in legal cases. I'll be keeping notes, but my notes will be locked away in my cabinet. If for any reason, and I don't imagine this will be the case, but if it does happen, I could be required under law to submit those notes. The other thing is, if you disclose to me that you may harm yourself or someone else, I would have to do the best thing that I could to care for you.
All good.
Yeah, and also if there's any disclosure of a child being harmed, then that becomes something that's mandatory reported.
Yes.
Yeah, so you understand that.
Yeah.
Are you okay with all of that?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's good. And I'm just wondering if you wanted
Just
to...
put the lights on. Good idea?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
It's all right.
Is there something in particular that you'd like to talk about today?
Well, I'd say that the main glut of what I want to talk about is my deceased partner, my grief about the loss of her in terms of, the relationship that we had, the value that I placed on her, and then maybe also the fact that, her trauma came up towards the end of the relationship and made the second half of our relationship very different from the first half because of her trauma coming up.
Her prior trauma was surfacing, or?
Yeah, her prior trauma to do with one molestation and 2 rapes between the ages of about 7 and the ages of about 27.
Okay.
Yeah. But all the last 2 being one when she was 12, one when she was 27, were both quite horrific. Yeah, they both involved her being attacked from behind. So it was amazing that we were able to still have, love making that involved sex from behind and not trigger it. But I think she was trying to give me hints that it was being triggered.
Okay. Yeah.
And trying to be very subtle that maybe to not do things that way so that it wasn't triggered. But that's another story. I don't know. Maybe we won't go there exactly, but for whatever reason, yeah. I don't think our interactions really triggered it. I think really what happened was she finally felt safe enough with someone, being me, to let that trauma out, because I think trauma comes out at the end of your life, it's bound to find a way out, and it was coming up for her, but
It was coming up for her, are you saying because it was nearing the end of her life? Is that what?
Well, I don't think either of us knew it was that close to the end of her life, but I think for whatever reason it was coming up, and it was so many decades later from when it had occurred, so that's just the way of it. But as I say, I tend to think of the relationship in 2 lots. Like the first 2.5 years, there was lots of going out and lots of, me being wooed and, in other words, all good stuff, And then the second half, when Vita's issues were coming up for various reasons, and a lot more alcohol had been consumed.
Okay. By Vita or by yourself?
No, by Vita, not. Yeah. I mean, I probably drank a little bit more than I would have, but yeah, it doesn't. I'm not an alcoholic, so I tend to stop at one, and she would go at least 4 times the distance than I would, at least, bare minimum. So she didn't seem to have an off switch when it came to that.
When you say you're not an alcoholic, are you saying that Vita was?
Yeah, Vita was an alcoholic. I mean, so much so that when we ascertained that we were together, I made a bit of an ultimatum. I said, well, I don't want an alcoholic, so take a couple of years and deal with that, and that would be good if you could, sort that out. And she sort of had this stunned monkey look, and then said, I'm not allowed to say I'll stop. And all I thought was, what in the hell does that mean? Like, who has gone and told her that, that she's not allowed to say that? Because maybe if she says that, maybe that would make, it would, if she, I just thought who was, at that point I had imagined who, and obviously it was AA, it was Alcoholics Anonymous, but at the time I just thought, what was that response?
Yeah.
So, just with our given dynamic, she tended to shelve. No, we tended to shelve our given responses to things and just kind of go, too hard basket, question mark, and just leave it. So I sort of semi-accepted that she had a problem, that was her business. And I'll just leave it at that. There was another dynamic whereby, I won't go into that since but yeah. So the grief part is just personal. It's like I'm very attached to the 2.5 years that were very good. All the paraphernalia that I'm quite attached, still even, and that probably causes the grief because the brain's wanting to say, the moment has passed, Ash, and something won't let that happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Something won't let.
Well, something won't. Like I'm scared that if I just go, okay, like get rid of all of the junk in the house and get rid of all of the paraphernalia of our relationship, that I'll feel odd and I'll regret chucking out stuff. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to throw away the memories, but I just want to lose the grief, or I want to lose the kind of grief I get where it's just depressing and it's it's kind of painful.
Yeah. Yeah. How long ago, can I ask, how long ago did Vita die?
Passed away about 1.5 years ago.
1.5 years ago?
Yeah.
Okay. And when you say it's depressing, the kind of grief that becomes depressing, have those feelings remained the same in that 1.5 years, or would you say it's better or worse or easier to deal with as time goes on?
Yeah, I've got more to be happy about, I suppose. I mean, I've got a house, and I'm not going to be out on the street and things like that. I'm not going to be. I'm not going to be destitute, so that's good. But yeah, so I've got more. So I'm sort of happy on some level that most people in the street would say you've got good reason to be happy. I'm like, yeah. But the other day when I found that out, which was only just the other day, I kind of noticed that I didn't even, like most of my sadness came up then, because I thought, well, I'm supposed to be so happy about that, and really nothing's changed. Absolutely nothing that I can actually pinpoint has changed. It's just a reframing. It's like, oh, okay, well, I won't be destitute, but someone like me wouldn't be destitute if I was out on the street anyway. I'd have my stuff in a storage unit, and I'd be living in a tent, or I'd be travelling, and I'd be doing some music or whatever.
So that fear is no longer with you. That
Yeah.
you have a stable home.
Yeah, I'm kind of stable now,
Yeah.
or solvent or whatever.
Solvent.
Yeah.
So when sorry, you go.
So, but on the day I found out, I just noticed how sad I was for about something like 2/3 of the whole day, because it just highlighted how couldn't access the supposed, I suppose a great head trip about being secure. I kind of thought, well, because there's a whole other side to that. It's like, well, now you are kind of stuck here unless you rent the place out. Like you start to try to look for the loopholes in the supposedly great thing that's happened, you know what I mean? Like, and the loophole, not the loophole, but the flip side is that if I didn't want to be there, now I can't, it's kind of like, it's laid down in law.
Oh, okay.
It's binding.
Yes, okay.
And
so...
But I could get around that. I mean, I could rent the place out if I wanted to change my environment to facilitate some kind of semi-forgetting of that period of my life. But it doesn't seem to be the way it's going to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm trying to understand when you say that you realised you were sad because you couldn't. Are you saying you couldn't reach the high that you imagined you would feel, or that someone would feel when that good news came your way?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and that you're also now bound to the house where your relationship with Vita, the first 2.5 good years and the other more difficult time was lived.
Yeah. Mind you, for some reason, once she died, all that, that the bad times were sort of realised to be just noise in the signal.
Okay.
Mostly anyway.
Yeah.
And some of them were her trauma, so pre-existing issues, had nothing to do with me too. So I don't tend to remember that stuff. I mean, I remember what I need to remember, which is where it kind of went wrong, which is a very complex thing to go into. That would be another hour needed to be dedicated just to that. But basically, there was to try to encapsulate what I mean there. There was one of the rapes, which was the middle one, or one of the incidents, which was a rape by her brother, which is horrible, she re-experienced while very drunk, like a lot more drunk than she normally would be. She was horizontal and re-experiencing it. So, and I'd never witnessed anybody re-experience something, so I didn't know what the hell I was watching.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a very sober, detached absorbing of that. I just unfortunately actually got triggered by what she said myself. But you got to understand, she wasn't there. She was mostly not there. She was horizontal and writhing, facilitated by being so knocked out by the booze, and definitely in her, I think her subconscious was trying to resolve that trauma of, because I found out later what had happened, and her brother and this other guy had held her down, and it was sex from behind, and it was when she was 12, which I feel really, I want to, I seriously want to find this Jeff guy and emaciate him, but anyway, I really do. And I can't do that to the brother, because I'm sort of expected to love him as well, because he's my brother-in-law. But there's a sense, that I want to do justice to him as well. But they were 13, and what can you do? And they can't be held responsible. So to cut a long story short, I didn't know what to make of this event, and it really went on and on and on and on. Okay. And the way I always say is it lasted for 2 days, which probably didn't. It was probably 2 hours, but It seemed like it
that.
was 2 days.
Yeah.
And all I remember, and the way I always say it is, it's like all of a sudden someone's saying to me, "Don't hit me 60 times," and it's like, well, how paranoid are you going to get? Because it's like, what if neighbours think that I'm, doing that? So, and that hit my own issues, and my mother would frame my father like that because she, I don't know what her reasons were. Her reasons were probably her oppressors, like her brother and her father and stuff like that. But she finally found a good man and then took all her crap out on him, which is what I am. I'm a good man, and I feared having someone else's rubbish. Like I feared the similar situation to the one my father got in with my mother, and so I couldn't stand this "don't hit me" stuff. I'm like, what the fuck is going to happen now? So, and then eventually that died down, but I stayed a little bit on edge and high alert and paranoid.
Yes.
I mean, to give you an idea, I don't want to ramble too much, but apparently when paranoid schizophrenics get very heightened in that paranoia, they will see what they're fearing. Well, I got that full on, and I'm not schizophrenic, or I've been cleared of being bipolar, which was one GP's speculation, so I'm not even cyclothemic, which is really, really, really like base level bipolar. I'm not even that, and I'm definitely not schizophrenic. But I was put in such a situation by this event, and not knowing what it was.
Not understanding it.
Not understanding it, just shelving it, but kind of like always thinking, is she going to flip out again and say, "Don't hit me"? Because then what situation am I in? Because I love her.
Yeah.
And all that great stuff, but do I extradite myself from this situation because she's nutball city, or do I hang in there and try to, So it was put on ice for years, because that happened at the start. And all good manner of stuff came after that, but there was always this, like, there's this memory that it kind of went into my subconscious where I feared kind of some kind of weird litigious repercussion of being with her because of this thing of "don't hit me." So clearly what happened in that rape was she was hit as well. So you can understand me wanting to seek vengeance on whoever, but it's not going to happen, and that's fine. But
it sounds like when she...
well, it's sort of, the problem's been invested in me. I'm very isolated in this problem because the family didn't really acknowledge the rape because they didn't want to incriminate the brother, and no one else knows what I know.
Yeah. I was going to say, it sounds like as Vita was re-experiencing her own trauma, you were traumatized by witnessing that and not understanding it. And although at the beginning of this session you said you wanted to talk about the grief you felt and your feeling,
but it is. Sorry. Yeah. Well, they are wrapped up with each other. As in, I can really trace the fact that she drank in life to that.
Yeah. Okay.
So if anything killed her, and I was so bold as I said it on a private thread among 50 nurses because they were the people that really loved her, her colleagues.
Yeah.
That the vodka that killed her was really. She was actually numbing pain from an accident, but. So on one level it was that, but the emotional pain was from that, because I've never witnessed anything so deep, like a real deep subconscious pain, because of how long ago it was, and because of how much she was expected to be okay with it.
Yeah.
Like her mother said, it was his hormones. It's like, well, you can find something better to say to your daughter than that, sorry. As much as I love Sylvia, it's just a bad advertisement for late Pisceans, which she is, to come up only with that. And when I said to Karen, when I reiterated, she already knew, she had been told, she said, well, it's hard these days to find a woman that hasn't experienced something like that. And I thought, this is clear indication that she wasn't really heard. As nice as those women are, they you've got to think on your feet and think, what can I say that's going to heal this person that I love? You know, my sister, my daughter, like, they've been raped, even if it is by the brother, like, it's still, like, address it with him separately, but at least acknowledge it. So at the time, all I could do was, at the time when she re-experienced it, all I could do was be triggered. Yeah. And then later, slowly but surely, it's like I'm the only one who really knows this, you know, and to honour her, I have to tell the story. And this video is a double-edged sword, because this is the one that's going to tell it. If it can be used that way, why not? Because whenever I did say my bit, say on Facebook, a bit publicly about something to do with that, she would say that she felt so honoured, so she felt really good for me giving a shit.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's all in the past. I do realise that. Yeah. It's in the past, but I've never said this story. I've never said it. You know, I've never said it clearly, because I find it really quite complex. Like, because I've tried to tell it before, and other people have glazed over. But me and you've got a good connection, so I'm not surprised that you can get it. But like, I wouldn't expect your average person to get that. I've tried, as I said, I've had a few failed attempts with no video recorders playing. But it's not something I want to spend my life reiterating. I just want to get it out and let people know it was invested in me, but it's got nothing to do with me. You know, Vita was the last person I'd ever, you know, hurt. You know,
the last person.
She would be the last person I'd ever want to hurt.
Oh, okay.
You know?
Yeah.
So I didn't hurt her, but mind you, like, we had periods when she would think I was whoever, and she'd come at me only once, and I had to defend myself, and I had to, you know, I had to push her away from me because she went off her nut because she was. But only now do I understand all the stuff she went through. No wonder. No wonder. But at the time I didn't know. You know, I kept on thinking. And this was way after, probably a few years, at least a year or two after the witnessing of that, what I call a stupor, you know, which is what it was, is that, she seemed to come at me in an attacking kind of way. And I had my response, which was whatever it was, but it wasn't, you know, like, I definitely didn't harm her irreversibly or anything, but I had to defend myself.
Okay.
But but she had a lot heaped on her, like, because she had a lot of complaints of her husband, kind of, like, that's how we started. She needed to stay at my place because he was being horrible. Okay. So psychologically abusive, she said, right? So straight away I thought, well, you know, like, my loyalties lie with you, not this baldy-headed freak. So I don't care whether he lives or dies, but my loyalties lie with you, you know. So yes, you can stay here, as, you know, within reason, because if it drives you mad and you're nocturnal and you can't sleep, like, you know, like, it can only happen so many nights a week, but yes, this is safe house for you, you know. And then it became that we were together and he's still living with her, and I thought, well, that can only go on so long. And then that the rest is history. Like, we got rid of him, but pretty soon, that's another story. Pretty soon into the piece, he was out, I was in. It's just that he wouldn't leave. And at the time when I turned up in her life, they hadn't been intimate for 7 years, and I think that kind I thought, well, I don't feel like I'm breaking up a marriage because it's not anymore, you know.
Okay. So it's a very big, it's a big story, and it's a lot that you've been holding over the years. And to me, I'm impressed by your psychological insight into yourself and to Vita, and it appears that you've done a lot of. You said at the time you didn't understand, but since then you've looked back and you've been able to understand Vita's trauma,
Yeah.
and your own responses. So it seems that you have some skill in processing and
Yeah. I've been waiting to tell that story the way it, the way it actually is.
Yeah.
And I think there's a few people who need to hear it as clear as it may have gone down here today.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But that's not to be vindictive. No way.
Yeah.
I mean, I love all those guys. I love all the rinks because they've sort of half saved my life. So, I think, I like them all.
Yeah.
I mean, I like Adrian a bit less.
Okay.
But he was a 13-year-old kid.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, what would you like to? Initially, you talked about the grief, and it sounds like there's a lot of grief around what's happened here.
Well, there may not be. I mean, there might not be now.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Because it's just I've never even got 1/6 into telling that story.
Yeah.
Someone glazing over, like kind of going,
Okay.
even if it's been a professional. So.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I appreciate you feeling trust in sharing that right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if there's anything, if Vita were here, I've got in mind a particular technique which could be useful if there's anything that you feel is unresolved with Vita that is affecting you in your daily life, and when you talk about the times that you feel depressed with grief, I'm wondering if just within this space now we could use imagination, a little bit of fantasy as though she was sitting here with us, to express to her things that couldn't be expressed in her lifetime. Do you think that would be useful?
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't a lot unexpressed with our love.
Okay.
So that was all pretty. I mean, I felt the need to remind her at the end via a message, an electronic message, that my love for her was always true and real. But that's because when it got really chaotic, say 3/4 way through, because I wasn't dealing with both the trauma and my paranoia from what I hadn't uncoded yet. When a temptation came along, I kind of thought maybe I should take this exit off this highway, which was a 20-year-old who had an attraction to me, who was a virgin who I didn't end up having sex with. I just ended up trying to work her head out for her, and then she ended up having a boyfriend promptly afterward, after getting quite pissed off, after realising that I wasn't her boyfriend. And me and Vita achieved, after that bad period, some solidarity with her realising that there was a method in my madness to deal with all of that. That my mission was to get this supposed fair person back to square one with herself, so that she was being a normal 20-year-old and having a boyfriend of her own age. So yeah, she could see that I am what I was maintaining, what I had maintained the whole 9 months of arguments, which was that I am a kind of a healer, kind of a person who tries to help people. So I did that for that person, and I put out to see that person a couple of years after all of that, and they have got their life worked out. They've got a boyfriend, they've got a job in the city, and they've got a sports car. So if that's not testimony to the fact that it wasn't an affair, but it was a wounded healing that I don't know what is. So yeah.
So I'm wondering, Ash, how do you feel about trying this technique? It's
Yeah.
called the empty chair technique.
Okay.
It's used in Gestalt therapy.
Okay.
And what we normally do is we call the person who you have unresolved issues with to be here in the room,
Yeah.
just in imagination. It's not an invoking or
Well,
channeling. It's
there's some reality to it at least.
there is. So I see you've pulled up a photo of Vita.
Yeah.
There she is. She's smiling. And
That makes it a lot easier.
yeah, you can feel her here. Or can you?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a beautiful photo.
Yeah. Well, that was the first document of us being in love. So.
Mm.
So, what was it?
Well, so I was going to ask you to, if you can, by looking at the photograph and imagining Vita being here, what would you say to her? What is it that you say to her? I'm going to face her as well, so that it's just between you and she, and I'm here to support you or facilitate. Is there something you'd like to say that would help you?
Well, at the hospital you said, we have a plan, don't we, Ash? So, I'm sorry I reneged on the plan, but yeah, it didn't work out. The plan didn't work out. But the funny thing is, like, when you said we have a plan now, Ash, I actually felt like, because I knew that you weren't going to make it, that the plan became, that I've got to look after myself, and that I've got to look after the cats, and I've got to look after Baramoko, and that's what I felt. It's funny because I wheeled in so much health food to you, but I couldn't get any of it into you, so. And some Jehovah's Witnesses came to the door the next week, and they started reading a bit of the Bible or something which said, "The dead have no memory of the living." I thought, gee, thanks for that. But that was really painful to hear that. It was really like a really, it's just so, like heavy dose of reality. Because at the time I was really happy in my denial. I was thinking, now that you are in spirit form, it's like there's this pure union. There's no noise in the signal. There's no pain. There's no alcoholism. It's just me and her. And I had that sensation.
You and
yeah, and I had that sensation. But it's like the universe countered with that by sending these believers to the door to let me know that. And I appreciated that, but it was pretty, it's just like, the dead have no memory of the living. Yet,
but
it's
your
pretty true.
feeling is not, if you can just go back to your connection with Vita and saying to her that you're sorry you couldn't follow through on the plan, but you took it to be a different plan about your ongoing life.
Yeah.
What do you think how would she respond?
I actually believe she kind of, in the funny kind of wisdom that was happening to her, because, like, she was still present in her thoughts, but she wasn't fully there. I kind of got the feeling hit me from what she said that is what she meant.
Okay, so that was the plan. It wasn't a plan to keep her.
I think it started. I really have to say I don't know.
Okay.
But it became one and the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, it would have been Mission Impossible. Like you know, like I found that out, and I really didn't think that it could be that anything can be Mission Impossible. But allegedly, that particular disease is. You know, I thought right at the last minute I can do it with Chinese herbs or something, but apparently I couldn't, and I didn't know that.
Is there anything else that you'd like to say to Peter?
Well, it was the best thing I had here, for wherever it was. There was a lot of hard stuff, difficult stuff, so maybe that makes it all the more worth it or something. I'm not sure. Just thank you for giving me love. Thanks for never stopped loving me. You always, we always ended up coming back to a point of, you know, she was reasonable with me and decent and
You
if you
say
know,
that to her, you were reasonable.
yeah, you were reasonable, you know, which stemmed from the love for me, which I really appreciate.
And she knew that you loved her.
Yep. And if truth be known, I kind of really like this photograph of you on your 50th birthday, where you look really good. And then a year later, I noticed you seemed different, and I got involved with you based on the fact that whatever was going on in that year, I didn't want any more of that. And I wanted to find out why that year was so tough. So really, it was always from caring about you in the first place.
How do you feel as you talk with Peter? How do you feel right now?
I mostly feel really good from expressing myself. I suppose it also just highlights, it also gives you a dose of reality that she's gone.
Yeah. Is there anything else you wanted to say?
Some mad psychic bitch told me that you're not okay, and that's just, I don't know, I think some of these psychics have got the devil up them. Because I hope, I don't know, I mean, when I say, I suppose the end is the end, and you can't harm someone who's dead, but it depends on your belief system. And I don't really, I've got to say I don't know what's what now with all these psychics contacting me. I don't know what, you know, I really don't know what's what. But I've found one that I agree with. It seems, according to her, she said she was standing next to her, so.
What do you think Aisha would say if you brought that to her about the psychics? Like, if she were here now and you're telling her about these psychics saying, how do you think she would?
I think she is okay, unlike what the first psychic said. I think she just like me, probably needs to let go, as sad as that is.
Yeah. Do you think that she would want you to let go?
Yeah. You know, well, yeah, for the benefit of, you know, having a good balanced life where I'm kind of, you know, firing on all cylinders and everything, sure. But I mean, as far as like, you know, I'm not going to delete photographs if that's what's required. I'm not going to do that.
No, that's not required. Yeah. Okay.
And just, I'm sorry I couldn't be the Superman saved you. Some people have suggested that I did, and that you had some good years because of me, like Graham King said that, Anna Fjord said that. So Graham King said that you probably lived longer than you would have. Who knows? It is all too confronting that it really just is a chair with a phone.
Yeah,
but that's okay. It's okay, because that's what I actually need to.
Yeah.
You know, I need to get back to reality.
Yeah.
Because I don't actually spend any time talking to Vita in the first person. I talk to her in my head.
Yes.
And that's the way the last psychic who I trust said that you do it. And that's what my own intuition told me, is what you do. That's what you do. You know?
Yeah.
But no, overall I'm kind of, I don't know, like my life at Burramoko just facilitates kind of a nice therapeutic thing where I just go through whatever I go through as it comes up.
Yeah.
You know, as it comes up, but not I don't see that it can possibly be jarring anymore. And I'm really glad I got the truth down to audio or video or whatever, because that complex part really needed to be said. It really needed to be said.
I really want to thank you for sharing that. It's a big journey you've been on with Vita, and complex emotions and the whole complex story. Yeah. I'm wondering, because you've expressed so much in telling the story and also emotionally now, how do you feel in yourself?
Heaps better.
You feel better?
Yeah, heaps better.
Do you feel grounded in your body, or would you like to do
No, I do. I feel like I can tell I'm going to go off and be a lot springier and better.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm wondering if you're feeling okay, whether we could talk more in the future about, or whether you feel you need that, or whether you feel that this session was a closure for you, or something which has helped you because you had all your practices in place.
No, I think it is both. It is a closure, but there's bound to be some aspect that I want to go back into, but after a period of kind of just enjoying the new, which is that, you know, I'm not morose, and it really, really did help.
Yeah, okay.
It's a lot better with a photograph than just a chair.
It's such a beautiful photograph, and okay. Well, if you're feeling okay, we might end the session now because it is time.
Okay.
Are you okay with that?
I'm absolutely fine with that.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks for listening.